In this Self-Care for Creatives video, I want to talk about the way that we feel when we're taking care of ourselves can be a magnet, attracting amazing experiences and ideas into our lives. I'm going to share a really nice little formula or equation for you in this one, folks. When developing a self-care routine, it's so helpful to understand the maths. Now, this little formula is really going to help, especially if you struggle to prioritize self-care, or if you find yourself doing a bit of self-care and then falling off the wagon. For me, when you understand the maths, it can be such a game changer. So first of all, what on earth do I mean by understanding the maths? So it comes back to what I said at the beginning of the video, that when we see that the way we enable ourselves to feel is like a magnet attracting awesome experiences or awesome ideas or awesome feelings into our life, then we start to get a sense of something equals something. So the way I feel equals what I'm therefore going to be attracting to me. So this is often why if we're in that place of I'm not prioritizing self-care, or I'm falling off the wagon and so I do a bit of self-care and then I don't, we might be experiencing in our life a bit of up and down, a bit of stress and turmoil, and then we might end up getting ill and kind of having to be flat out for things to really calm down. And so in this place, there's a sense of really being out of control. And so when we begin to get really insightful about the maths, then we understand that those conditions where we're feeling tired, where we're feeling burnt out, where we're feeling distracted, where we're feeling that we can't focus, those feelings, if we're to think about the maths, what number would we give those feelings? So if a 10 out of 10 is like, woo, I feel really amazing, what would that number be if you were like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I just want to be left alone, I just don't feel like I can cope with anything? We might give that a 1 or a 2. So therefore we start to understand the math that if we're feeling a 1 or a 2, that's what we're going to be attracting. And so if you're struggling to prioritize self-care, when you begin to understand the maths, that 1 or 2 equals 1 or 2, then you realize that unless you do prioritize self-care, your experience of life is going to be 1 or 2. And then you think, well, hang on a second, if I'm not prioritizing my self-care, then what am I prioritizing? Because that priority is giving me an experience of 1 or 2. So it can be really, really powerful when we do look at it as a maths equation or a maths formula to really get insightfully honest about the fact that if you want your experience to be a 10, if you want to feel 10, if you want your life to be like a 10, if you want your career and sense of fulfillment to be at a 10, you need to be taking the kind of care within yourself that is a 10. And it's really lovely when we start to get into this practice, because you realize that what you keep putting in, it's being reflected back. And so if you do fall off the wagon, which it happens, my friends, it's going to make you want to get back on again. Because often what can happen is we might have felt really nice, we might have got our self-care up to levels of 6 and 7, and we were going really out of our way to get some sleep and to have the right stuff for breakfast. But life took over. It just wasn't possible for us to keep the practice up. We then slipped back into old priorities. Maybe we had a few late nights and it was difficult to get up in the morning, and so we were slightly rushed in the morning. We didn't do our nice practice that we've been developing, and then suddenly before we realise it, we've slipped from that 6 or 7 back down to the 1 or 2. And then we start to think, well, there's not much I can do about it. But when you start to understand that when you reach those higher levels, and the longer you stay at those higher levels, the more beauty you're going to be attracting into your life, the more abundance you're going to be feeling within, then when you do slip, you're going to want to bring yourself back up. So what I'm going to share with you is a really nice practice. We're going to be sharing some journal prompts and really enabling you not just to get very honest about the maths, but also to start to see how you can create these shifts, to start to see how you can have this self-care routine that's going to enable you to feel like a 10 and then have 10 out of 10 experiences in your life. So let me give you the journal prompts, because for me, I find these ones really, really lovely. So the first thing is to take a couple of minutes, and it's really, really important to get honest here, folks. I find with self-care, especially for me, especially for how it was with me when I was starting to look at the way I was treating myself, because I didn't really know how to do it any differently, I felt a bit scared to acknowledge the fact that I wasn't taking care of myself, because there was a little voice in my head that was like, well, look, mate, if you're not taking care of yourself, then you obviously don't know how to do it, because surely if you knew how to do it, you would be. So it's best not to admit that you're not taking care of yourself, because if you admit you're not, but you don't know how to, then you're going to put yourself into a whole new level of pain. So I was sort of continuing to accept the level of 1 or 2, because I thought to admit that I didn't know what to do would take me to not just a 0, but maybe like -20. But actually I was really wrong with that perception. As soon as I admitted that I was at a 1 or a 2, I felt much more powerful. And that was enough. That was enough to then make me realise, oh, with this slight feeling of power that's come in, I feel like I've got a little bit of energy now to take care of myself. And so I took a little bit of care of myself, and then I felt a little bit more energy, and I was like, ooh, well, with this level of energy, I can now do this and this for myself. So I sort of crept from a 1 to a 2, to a 3, to a 4, to a 5, just figuring things out and trying new things, falling off the wagon and then getting back on again. So the first thing that really helped me get honest and really start to see what was going on was to take a couple of minutes and to really consider the number that I was currently giving off. So if we come back to that place, that the math means that the level of care that you're taking of yourself, the way that you're enabling yourself to feel, is giving off that number, i.e. is it a 2, is it a 4? And then that number is magnetizing the same number to be an experience in your life. So if I'm giving off a kind of like, oh, I don't know, I can't be bothered, I'm not feeling it, I'm therefore attracting an opportunity in my life that's kind of a bit disappointing and isn't really what I want, and it's sort of, I feel like I have to do it even though it doesn't really motivate me. So it might be a situation where you kind of always seem to get the same annoying job offers, or you kind of get to the same place with your career where you're like, I kind of feel like it's going nowhere, but I don't really know what to do about it. So you've got to get really clear about the number that you're magnetizing out there. Are you magnetizing a 2? Are you magnetizing a 4? So think about it. Get really clear about what a 10 out of 10 would be. You're feeling amazing. Every day is a wonderful experience. You're getting great job opportunities. You're getting wonderful invitations. You've got really lovely experiences going on in your life. So where are you in comparison to that? What number are you giving off? That's a great journal prompt. Spend a couple of minutes on that one, guys. Really tune in, like really think, what number am I giving off? Sometimes it can literally be so useful to just think, what's the first number that comes into my head? So you can say to yourself, what number am I giving off? And suddenly you find yourself thinking of a 4. You don't know why. It doesn't matter. You don't need to know. You write that number down and then you explore it. What does that mean? You know, what does a 4 mean? Is a 4 a kind of energy of like, oh, woe is me? Is a 4 a kind of energy of like, nothing good ever happens to me? So once you've got that number, you can start to then figure out what's behind that number, what self-care is needed. So Second great journal prompt, once you've got clear of that number, you then start to look at what you are attracting. So what are you attracting under your current number? So the way that you're currently making yourself feel. So again, if you're thinking about this self-care, what are you doing to yourself, or what are you not doing to yourself, and what are you therefore attracting? So again, that's a great one to journal on. So you'll start to explore, okay, well, what am I doing to myself? I'm giving myself a hard time. What am I doing to myself? I'm procrastinating and feeling really guilty about that. What am I doing to myself? I'm staying up late. I'm not eating healthy foods. What am I attracting as a result of that number? I'm attracting people making plans with me and then cancelling at the last minute. I'm attracting a level of work productivity where I start and then I fizzle out really quickly. Or I'm attracting a relationship with my work in progress where I spend hours looking at the blank screen. And so again, you start to get a sense of the self-care and the math. If you're giving yourself a hard time, if you're not taking care of your mind, or if you're not putting nutritious foods into your body, that's the level of experience that you're going to be attracting. So the math doesn't lie. And then finally, that last journal prompt, what needs to change, my friends? So for me, it's so important to have that resolution. Self-care is one of those things that can just keep sliding down the priorities list. So for me, I find this maths equation really helps you look at it in a way that's just non-negotiable. Because if you're taking the kind of care of yourself that's giving yourself a 5 out of 10, you know that your life can't be a 10 out of 10. And so that realization, it says to you, something's got to change. Something's got to change to enable me to get up to that 10 out of 10. And so that's when you can start to break it down. You know, what needs to change? Is it that you need more routine? Is it that you keep falling off? So it might be that you've got some really nice components of self-care. It might be that you can get to bed early when you make a plan. It might be that you can spend time relaxing at weekends, reading books that bring beautiful experiences. It can be that you get out in nature. It can be that you do exercise, but you're just not doing it regularly. So it might be that that needs to change. You need to make that commitment that what you are currently doing in a sort of haphazard way needs to happen daily. It may be that you're on a part of the spectrum in terms of what needs to change. Everything needs to change. I need to change the way that I'm eating. I need to change the way that I'm sleeping. I need to change the way that I'm talking to myself. And again, great, because you're starting to see the truth. Until that 4 out of 10 becomes a 10 out of 10, life doesn't become a 10 out of 10. There's no way around this one, my friends. The magnets don't lie. Just as you can't put two north ends of two separate magnets and try to make them attract, you can only put a north and a south together. The numbers don't lie. You can't attract a 10 with a 0. It's got to be that match. You've got to feel abundant in order to attract abundance into your life. You've got to feel joyful in order to have a joyful experience in the world. You've got to feel creative if you want to write. So what needs to change? You'll find plenty more content on lovely little self-care techniques, lovely little routines, meditations, additional journaling prompts in my Write No Matter What community. It's a beautiful, free, committed, collaborative community. We're run on Facebook, we do free sessions on Zoom, and you can find out more and join using the Write No Matter What link below. And when you join the community, we will also send you my bonus video masterclass. The bonus video masterclass is all about how to create and live and earn just the way you want. So it's really going to start to help you begin to learn some really powerful techniques that are going to help you create the love and the life and the joy and the creativity that you really dream of. So come join the Write No Matter What community, and we'll send you that free bonus video masterclass. Really looking forward to seeing you in the community, and I hope that you found this self-care video useful. Looking forward to seeing you on the sofa next Monday. Take care. Bye.